Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a deep dive into the vibrant, complex, and absolutely fascinating history of a true Caribbean jewel, Jamaica. From its earliest inhabitants to its modern-day cultural impact, Jamaica's story is one of resilience, struggle, and triumph. So grab your favorite snack, get comfortable, and let's journey back in time. Our story begins long before any European ships appeared on the horizon. The island, then known as Jamaica, meaning land of wood and water, was home to the Taino people. They were part of the Arawak group who had migrated from South America centuries earlier. The Taino were skilled farmers, cultivating crops like cassava, sweet potatoes, and corn. They were also expert fishers and canoe builders, navigating the Caribbean waters with ease. Their society was organized into chiefdoms, with a rich spiritual life centered on deities called Zemis. They lived in relative peace, their lives intricately woven with the lush landscape of the island. This tranquil existence, however, was about to be shattered. In 1494, Christopher Columbus landed on the island during his second voyage to the Americas, claiming it for Spain. The Spanish initially saw little gold, so their interest was limited. But they established settlements, most notably Sevilla La Nueva, which is now near St. Anne's Bay. For the Taino, the arrival of the Spanish was catastrophic. European diseases to which they had no immunity, combined with forced labor and brutal treatment, decimated their population. Within a few decades, the vibrant Taino culture that had thrived for centuries was tragically all but wiped out. It's a somber reminder of the devastating human cost of colonial expansion. Spain's hold on Jamaica, which they called Santiago, was never particularly strong. They focused their efforts on more lucrative colonies in Central and South America. This neglect made the island a tempting target for other European powers and for pirates who used its hidden coves as bases to raid Spanish treasure ships. In 1655, an English fleet, having failed to capture Hispaniola, turned its sights on the weakly defended Jamaica. They successfully invaded, and the Spanish colonists fled, many to Cuba. But they left behind their enslaved Africans, who seized the opportunity for freedom. These formerly enslaved people retreated into the rugged mountainous interior of the island. They became known as the Maroons. The word maroon comes from the Spanish word cimarron, meaning wild or untamed. And untamed they were. They formed their own independent communities, fiercely defending their freedom against the British for decades. Led by legendary figures like Queen Nanny Cudjoe and Accompong, the Maroons were masters of guerrilla warfare, using their deep knowledge of the terrain to outwit and ambush British soldiers. Queen Nanny, in particular, is a national hero in Jamaica today, celebrated for her military genius and spiritual leadership. After years of bloody conflict, the British were forced to sign peace treaties with the Maroons in the 1730s, granting them land and a significant degree of autonomy. This was a remarkable victory, a testament to their unbreakable spirit. Meanwhile, the British transformed Jamaica into one of their most profitable colonies, all built on one thing: sugar, the white gold of the era. To work the vast sugarcane plantations, the British engaged in the transatlantic slave trade on an enormous scale. Hundreds of thousands of Africans were forcibly brought to Jamaica under the most inhumane conditions imaginable. Life on the plantations was brutal and short. The enslaved were subjected to relentless labor, cruel punishments, and the constant threat of being sold away from their families. But even in the face of such oppression, the human spirit could not be extinguished. The enslaved people of Jamaica resisted in countless ways, from slowing down work and breaking tools to practicing their African traditions in secret. And, of course, there were major uprisings. The 1760 Takis War was one of the most significant slave rebellions in the 18th century British Empire. And in 1831, the Baptist War, led by the preacher Samuel Sharp, was a massive rebellion that played a crucial role in pushing the British Parliament towards abolition. Sharp, another national hero of Jamaica, famously said, "I would rather die upon yonder gallows than live in slavery." His words echoed the sentiments of thousands. The constant resistance, coupled with the growing abolitionist movement in Britain, finally led to the Slavery Abolition Act in 1833. Full emancipation came in 1838, freeing over 300,000 people in Jamaica. This was a monumental moment, but the road ahead was still incredibly difficult. The plantation economy collapsed, and the newly freed people faced immense social and economic challenges. Most were left with no land, no resources, and few opportunities outside of the plantation system they had just escaped. The post-emancipation period was marked by social unrest. The Morant Bay Rebellion of 1865, led by Paul Bogle, was a key turning point. Bogle, a Baptist deacon, led a protest of poor black farmers demanding justice and fairer living conditions. The governor's response was swift and brutal. Over 400 people were executed, including Bogle and another prominent activist, George William Gordon. The rebellion was violently suppressed, but it exposed the deep injustices that persisted. In response, Britain abolished the old local assembly and turned Jamaica into a crown colony, ruling it directly from London. As the 20th century dawned, a new sense of identity and political consciousness began to grow. The ideas of Marcus Garvey, a Jamaican-born leader and one of the most important figures in black history, resonated deeply. His Universal Negro Improvement Association promoted black pride, economic self-sufficiency, and the vision of a return to Africa. Garvey's philosophy inspired millions around the world and laid the groundwork for future nationalist movements in Jamaica and beyond. The 1930s brought widespread labor unrest across the Caribbean, and Jamaica was at the center of it. Workers demanded better wages and conditions, leading to major strikes and riots. From this turmoil, Jamaica's first modern political parties and trade unions were born, led by figures like Alexander Bustamante and Norman Manley. These two men, cousins and political rivals, would dominate Jamaican politics for decades, and are now revered as founding fathers of the nation. This new political energy propelled Jamaica towards self-governance. After World War II, the movement for independence gained unstoppable momentum. After a brief and unsuccessful stint in the West Indies Federation, Jamaicans voted in a 1961 referendum to leave the Union and seek their own path. And so, on August 6, 1962, the British flag was lowered, and the black, green, and gold of the Jamaican flag was raised for the first time. Jamaica was finally an independent nation. The decades since independence have been a mix of incredible triumphs and significant challenges. Musically, Jamaica has conquered the world. Ska, rocksteady, and of course reggae have become global phenomena. Bob Marley, more than just a musician, became a global icon, spreading messages of peace, love, and resistance that continue to inspire people everywhere. In sports, Jamaican sprinters like Usain Bolt have dominated the world stage, making the small island a track and field superpower. Politically and economically, the journey has been more complex, with periods of economic hardship, political violence in the 1970s, and ongoing struggles with debt and crime. Yet through it all, the Jamaican people's spirit of resilience, creativity, and one love philosophy continues to shine. From the Taínos land of wood and water to the Maroons' fight for freedom, from the brutality of the sugar plantations to the vibrant explosion of reggae music, Jamaica's history is a powerful story of a people who have faced incredible adversity and have not only survived but have created a culture that has enriched the entire world. It's a history that is still being written every single day. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the history of Jamaica. I hope you found it as fascinating as I do. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Let me know in the comments what part of Jamaican history you find most interesting. Until next time, stay curious.